This past summer, Princeton Lacrosse midfielder Austin Sims traded in his orange and black for the red, white, and blue, competing for the U.S. Under-19 national team that won gold at the World Championships in Vancouver. Sims captained the squad that came from 6 goals down to beat Canada 13-12 in the gold medal game.
I remember the last World Games in 2012. I was checking updates on my phone and saw that they pulled out the win, and that was something I realized that I wanted to do right then and there. So actually getting to play out that dream, and then even more so being named captain by my teammates, was just an awesome experience.
At Princeton, Sims broke into the lineup 2 years ago as a freshman defensive midfielder, taking just 5 shots all year. Last spring, he moved to midfield and finished second on the team with 23 goals. With Team USA, he shifted back to a defensive role.
Austin's extremely dynamic, and in his career here, he's worn a lot of hats for us. And he came in as a young guy, as a freshman, and kind of earned his reps on the defensive side of the field. And he really has. Since then, he's played everywhere. He's played offensively, defensively, on man up, on face-off wings. So I think the best way to describe Austin is that he really does have a high IQ for the game.
As a sophomore, I really took almost a backseat to guys like Ryan Ambler and Gavin McBride, and they really showed me the way. But on the U19 team, being the most experienced player on the team with 2 years of college under my belt, I had to be that leading force for some of the younger guys, and I'd sometimes not take part in some of the joking around that was going on and kind of take more of a serious tone, which is a little different for me, but it was a good experience.
Being a defensive midfielder for them, he was one of, I think, 2 players on the team with 2 years of college experience. So I know that was big for Coach Myers and his staff, was to have that experience on the defensive end. So for him to do that, it just shows his selfless approach. He's a powerhouse offensive midi at the Division I college level, and he went back to an under-19 World Championship and held the role of a defensive midi. So impressive for a young guy.
Sims was joined on the U.S. roster by 6 other Ivy League players, including current Princeton freshman attackman Michael Sowers, who led the team in points during the tournament.
I noticed that he was one of the quicker guys I've seen out there, and his vision was awesome. And I was playing on the defensive end on the U19 team, but I was really just dreaming about what it was going to be like when I got back on the offensive end with him.
Growing up in lacrosse-rich Connecticut, Sims got an early push toward the sport.
My dad actually made me start playing lacrosse in, I think, 1st or 2nd grade. He played at Denison for 2 years in college, and so growing up in Fairfield, it's a pretty big lacrosse town, and he figured that I'd probably get to be best off with a head start. Didn't really like it at first, couldn't really figure it out, but as soon as I figured out how to cradle and pass and catch, I loved it. I also played soccer pretty heavily through high school, and it was definitely a tough decision whether or not I wanted to play soccer or lacrosse, but my high school lacrosse coach really helped me through that decision, and he honestly said that if I played lacrosse, I might be able to go study abroad somewhere and go to Princeton and go study abroad in Spain, which is exactly what I did, so I thought that was kind of funny. I just like lacrosse because it mixes the physicality of a sport like football, but also the IQ of a sport like basketball, so I just think it's just the perfect combination of everything.
In a sport that's expanding rapidly, diversity is still lagging behind. In 2015, less than 4% of Division I lacrosse players were African American. Last spring, though, Hampton added men's lacrosse, marking the first historically black college and university to sponsor the sport since Morgan State dissolved its program in 1981. Then in March, Duke midfielder Miles Jones was the first overall pick in the Major League Lacrosse draft. Sims has noticed progress.
I definitely think it's growing a lot. I know as a kid, my favorite player was Kyle Harrison, whether that was because he was African American or not. It was just it was just a plus that he was for me, just to see I could really follow his shoes and step into his shoes. The amount of African American players in the game right now is growing tremendously. Every day I look on Inside Lacrosse and see pictures of black kids playing lacrosse, which is just awesome. I can only hope to just keep being a role model for kids, whether I know it or not, and whether they even know me, as long as they can just see me out there on Inside Lacrosse or whatever website. I think that's awesome.